Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Comic Book Nostalgia. I'm CB Nostalgia, and I thought we could talk a little bit of Spider-Man and Daredevil on the streets of the MCU. Well, as many of you know, this past weekend we had Comic-Con, and we got all kinds of new Marvel announcements. One of those that many fans are pretty excited for is Daredevil, Born Again. Now, the series is not set to drop until 2024, so we have a really long wait. But Kevin Feige recently spoke a little bit about how important Daredevil is going to be to the MCU's future and who he's going to be paired off with. Now, Kevin Feige answered a lot of questions at Comic-Con, and one of the things that he revealed is that not only will Daredevil be leading the street level heroes, but he will be teamed up with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, meaning the future of the MCU in that New York City bubble is going to have both of our favorite red-clad characters. Now, when you listen to what he says, it does beg a couple questions, and that's really what I wanted to talk about. Fans have wanted to see Spider-Man and Daredevil on screen together for a long time, and they got that tease during No Way Home, which set it up nicely. Peter was obviously pretty shocked when Matt caught that brick out of the air, and with everybody forgetting who Spider-Man is, it'll make for an interesting dynamic between the two characters once they team up on the streets of New York. Now, the interesting thing that Kevin Feige said, though, is they would spearhead street-level characters, meaning there's going to be other street-level characters. Now, when we talk street heroes, that can be pretty varied in Marvel Comics, and if you're a fan of the comics, you know New York City is packed with superheroes. Characters like Hawkeye, Doctor Strange, the Fantastic Four, Thor, even Captain America have a big presence in New York City in the comics. But in the MCU, they've already been sort of allocated to other places, and New York has not been a part of their story since the first Avengers movie. This begs a couple of questions. Now, obviously, some heroes like Moon Knight and She-Hulk would fit nicely into these street-level heroes. I could totally see Jennifer Walters teaming up with these two, and should Mark Spector return to New York, that would be pretty awesome also, but quite honestly, a large presence of the MCU is not available in New York City. But then you start looking around and realize what the rest of the list is comprised of. Luke Cage, Hellcat, Jessica Jones, Misty Knight, Colleen Wing, Frank Castle, and Danny Rand typically all make a top 10 list of Marvel street heroes. Basically, when you look at this list, you realize that this is Netflix's lineup, and it makes me wonder if this is exactly how Marvel is going to integrate most of these characters. Charlie Cox's Daredevil was probably the most popular character on Netflix for Marvel. He actually laid the foundation for the whole Marvel TV world that grew up over on Netflix and is now part of Marvel Studios. I can totally see a scenario here where Daredevil teaming up with Spider-Man is basically used as a mechanism to reintroduce so many of these other characters. We've already heard rumors of Jessica Jones being in She-Hulk and even in the Daredevil series, so for any of these other people to reappear would make a lot of sense, and it seems like Marvel might have some of the mechanisms already in place. Now, interestingly, some of the other street characters that would be kind of nice are, well, spider-oriented characters. Particularly ones that come to my mind are things like Silk or Spider-Woman, both of which have had rumored projects over at Sony, but don't seem to be moving forward very fast. You can totally see here how Marvel could have a nice cluster of street-level superheroes and how it would allow them to integrate both the Netflix world as well as maybe some of the characters Sony has possession of into Marvel's New York City. Throw in the Kingpin, and then you start to realize you really do have the framework for a pretty expansive story, especially because the Kingpin has been a big villain for both Spider-Man and Daredevil. I think Marvel is setting up something here that's going to be a big deal. It could be that Mayor Fisk story, but it also could be something like Dark Reign. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, obviously, when we know a little more about Daredevil and Spider-Man teaming up on the streets of New York, we're going to bring it to you right away. If you don't want to miss any details, hit that like and subscribe button and ring the bell for all the updates. We'll make sure you get them. But until we know more, what do you guys think? How do you feel about Spider-Man and Daredevil spearheading the New York City Marvel heroes? And do you think this is the mechanism to introduce all those other Marvel street-level heroes? Tell me what you think in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you hit like, click subscribe, and if you don't ring that bell, you're not going to get any updates. Peace.